Assalamu alaikum, Imam Tariq.
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
I am doing well. Good to hear your voice.
Well, thank you. Likewise.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Come salam. Adam, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing good.
That is good to hear.
Think I got a good, well enough rest, but man, if I was in 3 Zoom calls yesterday.
Well, I know that they had the host meeting yesterday, which I missed. Was that a good meeting?
Hmm, yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay.
Then I was on Stadium Man, North Carolina Stadium Man's had Zoom call yesterday, and then State African American Caucus had a Zoom meeting yesterday. So I was late for the host meeting, but I finally got on.
Okay. You had three actual really important meetings yesterday. That's a busy Saturday.
Yeah, really, really. Then a very important meeting I yesterday was a client meeting because he paid me. Some of us still had to work for a living, you know what
hmm
I mean?
I do understand that. Definitely. So it was a pretty busy week, news-wise. Lindsey Graham died last night or what, this
Yeah,
morning?
I saw that when I woke up this morning.
Yeah. And Mitch McConnell, even though I know he was retiring anyway, I don't know how many years he had left in his term, but I think he's had some kind of debilitating illness that's kept him overseas. He can't even fly back to the
Yeah,
United States.
okay. Yeah, I know. You talking about Mitch McConnell?
Mitch McConnell, yeah.
He was overseas.
Yeah, he was in, I want to say, was he in Taiwan?
You sure?
Yeah, he is somewhere overseas because his wife came back and said he was too weak to fly back, I
Probably two,
think.
probably was 2 weeks when he went over.
Probably so. They were somewhere.
Let's say he might have gone over for special treatment.
I think it was China. I think because China is now the biggest country with medical tourism. People go in there for treatments because you get it so much less expensively.
That hypocrite.
I
That's
know.
expensive. He killing the American public.
I
Everybody
know.
everybody can't do what he do.
I know. Yeah.
But I guess when you try to stay alive, you gotta do what you gotta do.
hmm And then Imam Tariq, you guys got a real storm brewing down there in southern Mississippi around that young man.
But
Yeah, that's probably, let me see. It takes about 10 minutes to get to Ocean Springs from where I'm at.
hmm
wow.
Yeah. Just go across the bridge. I'm there. I kind of walk to the part of the bridge and back daily sometime.
hmm
But yeah, that's where it's at. And
Yeah.
if I may add this, over 20 some years ago when I was in the building material industry, was a young Caucasian guy worked there. His father was shop there all the time. And they invited me to go fishing and hunting with them. I said, no, not me. I'm not going to go out there. Yeah, nobody. No way.
That might have been their role. Too many
Oh
cooler
no, man,
Negroes that
that's
can go
just,
missing.
Yeah, that is, and it's really interesting because that is one of three cases I know like that in the last 2 or 3 months, where a young African American male has gone with a group of Caucasian males
Mhm.
and has either disappeared or died under strange circumstances.
Mhm.
I mean, and the other one happened just recently up in Michigan
Hmm.
at a music festival.
Right.
Mm.
And the young black guy, he supposedly, his friend said he left, but he left all of his belongings and his phone behind. Just like this Ocean Springs case where they
Yeah.
came back with his phone.
Mm.
Why y'all
Yeah,
got the boy's phone?
they had a major protest there, I think, yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah, I saw the
Some fraternity. I think that looked like the fraternity there. I don't know which one it was. Uh, yeah, and it
a
done
few of
made
the,
national news. It was on ABC News this week.
yeah. Oh yeah, they interviewed, I think with Benjamin Crump, they interviewed the mother and the father.
Hmm.
It was either yesterday or Friday.
Yeah,
They interviewed the mother and the father.
and
Yeah.
Sharpton came as part of it. Now I
Oh
don't
my
know if I
God,
want to say
Sharpton.
Ravenel Sharpton. I don't even know if I want to say that, but anyway, I just got my opinion of him.
You know what? I liked Sharpton when he was fat more than I like him now.
Oh, man.
Oh man. But yeah, it's a busy week. You got they're rationing fuel in Russia. You can only get gas on certain days depending on what your license plate or however they do it in their system. I know ours used to be, I think, license plate even and odd, but they're
Hmm.
having to ration fuel in Russia. They're running out of money and the ability to repair their infrastructure when drone strikes in Ukraine hit them.
Mm.
Assalamu alaikum, Imam Talib. How are you doing?
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Yeah, I was apologies for being late. I was hanging around study Al Islam.
Okay.
They had a sister on there out of Georgia, in India Ali.
She's the attorney, right? That
Yes,
does some estate
the
work
state.
and different
Yep,
things. Yeah.
yep. And
Yeah, she actually, I think she's licensed in Texas. She has
yeah,
somebody
she is.
here.
Yeah, she is. Yep, she said so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said so. And it was apparently, and you can do this in many states. Um, she passed the Georgia bar, and
Hmm.
then once you've been practicing for 5 years in any state, Texas will grant you, I guess, like reciprocity, or
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
you don't have to sit for their bar.
Right.
So she took
Yeah.
advantage of that, having, if I understood her correctly, she took advantage of it because she owns property in Texas, as well as Georgia. Yeah, young sister, young family. In fact, she even revealed that her and her husband expecting another child. Uh,
Okay.
but information was spot on, and what I found it to be, what I found it when I say that, I'm saying it because as she was speaking, I was thinking about, my own presentations and making notes from some of the things that she said, particularly the outline that she uses, um, the outline she used for her presentation, using the word faith with acronyms for each one of the letters. So the F was for family, the A was for assets, the I was for instructions, the T was for tools, and the H was for help. And my presumption was that all of this came about, through her own experiences, and she developed this sort of presentation to help guide her. But what was more interesting to me, and I kept, we've got these reactions that you can make on Zoom. And she would say something, and I would think, well, don't forget such and such. And then maybe a few minutes later or a few seconds later, she would say it.
Mm.
And one of the ones that stuck out, it took her a long time to get around to it, but she eventually got to it. And just as I was about to put it in the chat, she brought it up because she was addressing trust. And I mean, she was just going on and on about what trust will do and yada, yada, yada. And I mean, it was good information. But I kept thinking that there are people who think and believe that they have a trust simply because they have documents that say a trust. And you don't have a trust until you fund a trust. And she finally got around to saying that. Man, you should have been in the room with me, because I could not hide my pleasure at her reminding people of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was an excellent presentation. And it was, the other thing I appreciated about it was, of course, the question came up, well, how much did you charge for a trust? And I could tell that she was quite familiar with her audience, because she talked about tiers. I think in her practice, she mentioned she has 5 of them. But when the question was asked about the cost of the trust, $3,000 for assets that don't exceed $500,000. And she didn't go into any other tier. My presumption being that she had an idea that her audience may not have assets more than $500,000, particularly if you remove the home, should you own one. If you remove the home from it, beyond that, there may not be more. And I also believe that, once you put that number out there, that 3,000, and people know it's at that tier of 500, they may then start to, the 3,000 is already a shock to some people. Because, I mean, let's face it. What is it? 65 to 75% of us don't have $400 in an emergency fund. Much less 3,000 to to spend, on a trust. So, it's oftentimes that money comes into play. And she also pointed out, and I thought this was brilliant, that because people wanted to know how long it was going to take her to do this, and she gave an estimate of 4 to 5 weeks. But what she said was, it's always going to depend on how prepared you come to this process. Because, and this is the part that I had to concur with her on, every discussion leads to more and more questions coming from the client. All of the what ifs. And they're good questions. But sometimes I have found that I have to answer those questions not on the phone in talking to you, but I need to put those answers in writing so that you can go back and listen or go back and read the answer. Because my experience has been that when clients ask me questions and I give them the answer, somewhere along the line, just before we get ready to close everything out, they go back to a question that I've already answered for them. And sometimes they kind of drag the process out, where I finally just have to send them an email, put it in writing, and then I'll get a response back like, okay, I got it, or thank you, or I'm ready to sign, whatever, letting me know that they have they have finally put this particular process to rest. And that's where I am now with at least 3 people that are now ready, and I'm ready to close out all of their documents. But it just took getting there as part of the process. But I was able to learn from it, and I was certainly able to pick up a lot of information from this attorney, as well, to that I will keep in mind, as I continue, to help, to help people in the things that I do for them. So it was an excellent program, and I wouldn't be surprised to learn that they are still on the call, because Sister Fitra was hosting, and she even mentioned that if they had to go past 11 o'clock, they would. But it was good, and I'm thankful that Sister Fitra reached out to me. I would tell you maybe a couple of weeks ago. It might have been 2-3 weeks ago. She reached out and told me this sister was going to be on, and to mark my calendar, and I did, and it was certainly worth staying on for the full hour. And but I had to come talk to my brothers and sisters on Graceline, so I got off and here Here I am at, at your pleasure. So,
When presentations like that, like hers,
mhm.
did she touch on individuals that have business interest involved in their states, or is it
She
more
did
just
not.
okay?
Um, there was no, she didn't. And the surprising thing is, and I think she could do this because she was an attorney. I don't do it because I'm not. But one of the things I did notice about her presentation that was different from mine, people were asking her questions about their personal situations. So at the time, I think I may have gone through maybe 8 questions and answers before I got off. None of those centered around business. They did not. Um, but she did say that her process is such that her firm sends out an intake form, um, something I have as well, where it asks all the questions um, about your family, your property, your assets, your business, whatever you may have. There's this in-depth intake form, but no one on the call while I was there addressed business. She did not address it either. Not that I recall, and I was there. I got on. Um, I got on at maybe 5 after 10, um, and she didn't address it. But I don't, and I'm even looking at my notes now, um, trying to remember. No, she did not address it and did not even, from my recollection, didn't even come close to it. By even mentioning, you may have a business, who do you want to leave it to? Or how do you want it to be disposed of? But I would tell you that based on her presentation, um, I would have enough, just from that brief meeting. I developed enough confidence in her to to suggest to you or anyone else that she has a certain level of competency, where she was even had said a couple of times, if she doesn't know, that she would reach out to some of her colleagues that do. And she mentioned that in the context of, even though she's licensed in Georgia and Texas, she has done wills and trusts, and I think she mentioned trust in particular, and she must have named about a dozen states that she's partnered with attorneys where she actually does the trust and then will send it to a colleague of hers in that particular state for their review. But no, she didn't specifically speak on that, and no one asked the question. I would imagine if you were on, you certainly, Sister Fitzgerald has certainly given you the opportunity to, to address it. But yeah, if she's right there in Texas, just reach out to her.
And she's been on a couple of other programs
Okay.
that, where I was in the audience, I
Okay.
guess you would say.
Okay.
And I don't remember if I've ever asked her a
About
direct question about anything or not.
right.
Because typically, if I remember, the one I remember most vividly, she basically simply talked about, basic, family inheritance planning
Hmm.
and things of that nature. She did not touch on, business valuations, transfer of business
Right.
assets, or, business
Right.
assets into a
Right.
trust or anything of that nature.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I think you were right. I think she knows her audience, but she's
Yes.
probably prepared to deal with, questions that are outside of that as well, because she probably has.
Right. Now, and I also think now I would tell you that um and I'm just guessing this now, that depending on the sophistication and the level of the business or business assets that you're speaking of, um, I consider that to be a certain level of expertise that uh, she may have to consult with, because I believe there are attorneys that specialize in things, like business valuations and um, any possibility of some business that you may own that has the possibility to scale, um, and just how how that entity is set up and how you want to see it pass on or sold and the proceeds divided, and whether or not there's a partnership or just what all is involved in that. um I believe there are attorneys out there that specialize in that sort of expertise. Now, if it's a family owned market or a clothing store, and it would also, and she did mention this, um that something like that would, my presumption is it would also involve a CPA,
Well,
someone that has,
that's the case.
yeah.
I mean, you got a distinction of the type of work, and
Mm,
most attorneys don't know accounting.
right,
All
right,
right,
right.
and because you're an attorney, same way, most accountants don't know law.
Hmm.
So we have to see, so you find the larger firms that can hire that expertise, and do have
Hmm.
some attorneys that majored in or studied accounting in that
Right.
regard.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it would take a larger firm to be able to give that kind of expertise.
I agree. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. I agree. And I'm faced with with somewhat of a situation like that right now in my planning of, I'm giving some serious consideration to selling one of my properties. But I'm going to do right now. I'm giving consideration to doing a FSBO, a for sale by owner. And in doing that, there are certain documents there's certain documents I'm going to need, and there's certain people I'm going to want to consult with, because the way that I do business is, you know, I set my asking price, and then I proceed to gather documentation that justifies the price. So I'm not just, and I do this primarily for myself, but for persons I consider to be serious, I want to provide them with certain information that I can only get from experts. In this case, information that I could gather from a licensed architect, from a licensed architect from that's familiar with a DC code, from real estate attorneys, from accountants, and I certainly want to hear from accountants, to know at the end of the day what is it that my family and I can look to walk away with, and is there anything that I could do beforehand, to lessen that that capital gain. From what little research I've done so far, just one example, and then I'll let somebody else step up. Where I could sell my home and do I think they call it a 1023 exchange, and buy something within 6 months, I believe, of selling a residential property. From what I've seen so far, it does not apply to commercial property. Now, they may have something else similar, but it's not. From what I've seen so far, that 1023 exchange is not for commercial property. I'm also considering doing some financing, owner financing. So if I was to do that, does that reduce my capital gain? And last but not least, whatever I do on any sort of owner financing, I don't want to be in a second position. I want to be in a first position. So if you're borrowing money from a bank, and then I'm going to extend owner financing to you for some portion of the balance, we don't have a deal, because I don't want to hold a second position, because if you default, the bank is going to get theirs first, or whatever financial institution you use. So, I mean, these are kinds of things. I'm only saying these things to us because while I'm thinking them, these are things that I'm going to present to professionals to advise me whether or not I'm going or moving in the right direction. I'm not going to step out there on my own and try to act like I know what I'm doing, because this is my retirement. So
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You say your home, but you're talking about is a residential and a commercial aspect to that?
No. This one, this is strictly the commercial building I'm looking to sell.
Oh,
yeah. No, this is the commercial building. Now, the mixed use property I own, which is both residential and commercial.
yeah.
No, I'm not that I'm not selling at this point. But
Well, what you can do on the commercial property is do installment sale.
Okay.
and that won't absolve you from the recognizing the gain, but you recognizing the gain as you receive payments, so you can spread the gain over several years.
Okay.
You don't have to do it all in the first year.
Okay.
That you know you.
Yeah, that is yes, that'll work. Yeah, because that I'm more concerned about um that initial hit.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean that that would that would help to hold that back, hold it in abeyance.
yeah,
So
and you'd have to treat the interest you get from that agreement
mhm,
every year would be taxed as ordinary income,
mhm,
and the principal part of that would be recognized as capital gain over the
mhm.
years. But again, that might not. I'm not sure of the strength of the person that would be buying it.
Right,
There are other things to consider with that.
right.
But
Well, I mean, one thing I'm looking at, and of course, it would just end up being you know, a involve a lot of lawyers and things of that nature. But should you default on, these installments, um, worst case scenario, assuming I haven't breached any other part of the contract, I get, we get our property back.
right, right. True that.
Yes, sir. So now, fortunately, you know, I I'm not going to take advantage of someone in order to uh, to gain the upper hand on them. I mean, that's I just finished reading some ayats in Quran that for that forbid us as Muslims, to do things like that. So now uh, I'm going to approach this. I mean, honestly, straightforward, um, and this way, doing a for sale by owner, I get I get the opportunity to choose. Um, I even get the opportunity to choose who I may want to sell this property to. So
Right.
and just see how that see how that goes. I just don't. I have seen some of the contracts that these commercial brokers circulate around, and what they're looking for in commission, and quite frankly, um, what little I know they do in order to justify uh, what they say they want. I had a partner of mine that sold a building here in DC, what maybe I would tell you maybe 7 years ago. And for reasons I can't explain except desperation, um, the the commission was 8.5%. So and he didn't get full price for the property. So having an opportunity to review that and kind of see, and I'm not, at this point I'm not desperate. In fact, I'm laying the groundwork now on a plan that uh, I may not, I may not even cock this gun until what, 2028? After assuming the idiot that we have to deal with right now, survives. What 24? So his term expires in 28, is it?
Well, he would leave office in January of 29.
Okay.
Maybe, maybe.
Right. That's
No,
why I
no,
say,
no.
yes.
No, he's leaving office in January 29.
All right.
Maybe.
Even if I have to supply the truck, the tar, the pitchfork, the people, whatever the case may be, he's leaving. Where he goes, I don't know. He will not be there
Okay.
if I have anything to do with it. He will be gone.
Well, I'm gonna just I'm looking at the market right now, and I'm not saying that things aren't selling, but and there's a developer, commercial property owner in the same block where I am, or the next block. I'm in the 4700, they're in the 4600. Two short blocks, city blocks, and they own five. They own five properties that no, actually six. There's actually six plots. They combine one of the buildings, but it's actually six plots. They're selling theirs for $5 million, and they paid $2 million for it maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, maybe 10 years ago they paid $2 million for it, and now they're asking $5 million. Right now, I'm situated. I want 2.5 for mine. I'll walk away with less, or I'll take less, but I'm starting out at 2.5. And even though I only have one lot, my lot is built all the way back to the alley, and I'm able to now go up 75 feet, 5 stories. In fact, I can go 5 stories, which is 65 feet, and an additional 10 feet for a penthouse or a mechanical room that needs to be set back 10 feet from the property line. So I've got a full 75 feet that I can go, but that last top tier has to be set 10 foot back from the front of the building. In their case, their property cannot be built back to the alley. They lose, I would tell you, they lose I would tell you, close to 1,000 square feet in the rear that they would not be able to build on unless they received some sort of special exception or a zoning change. So you know, we're going to see, and I mean they are, and they don't have any signs up saying that things are for sale or nothing. In fact, they've been renting out. I would tell you in the last 2 years, they've rented out two of their units. I think all of their, yeah, with the recent rents that the rent outs the recent leases they just signed, all 5 of their properties are now leased. So, but I would tell you, they're more than likely short-term leases, you know, because they are trying to sell. And I've got someone that wants to lease my property, but I just don't know. I'm kind of up in the air. You know, they may or may not be qualified. I mean, they Muslim sister. She owns she owns, I think, 3 daycare centers. Yeah, she owns 3 daycare centers, and she wants to rent my space for a 4th. But we'll see. We'll see, because I'm ready. I'm ready to retire. I mean, I've owned this building 24 years, man. And I got to remember when we bought it for our retirement. So when do I fire that pill? You know, when do I just decide that's it? I'm gonna let this go. And I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that realization right now, because I don't want to go beyond what the intention was. I mean, that always has seemed to work for me. So you know, it's like it's like not regretting or missing out on anything that may come my way. I stick to what the intention is. It's like I'm renting this space to right now to, you know, to as an office building. It is being rented at below market rent, maybe as much as, depending on who you talk to, anywhere from $10 to $12 less per square foot than what I could get if I was to rent it to a restaurant. I don't rent it to a restaurant because I made a determination that as the property owner, and this city having separate licenses for different aspects of your business, I did not rent it to a restaurant because as a Muslim owner, I did not want the sale of alcoholic beverages to come through that property. Some people in the neighborhood were pissed with me because of that. Didn't matter. And I don't regret not renting it to a restaurant for the reasons that I laid out. But when I go back to the reason why we purchased that building, it was for 2 reasons. I needed the basement for my business, and I wanted, that was my, what do you call it? That was my 401k. That was my retirement. And and the only thing that I've done since then, other than renting it, is I went to the zoning commission and asked them to upgrade the zone at this commercial property and throughout the remaining, throughout the other properties within these 2 blocks. And they approved it. So essentially all I did was increase the land value of the property that I purchased. So now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to retire. And what I'm going to do after that, Allah only knows. But I right now I want to tell you I'm done. I'm going the next couple 3 years. This I will no longer be the owner. Either because I sold it or by death. I don't know. I don't know which one is going to come first, but whichever it is, I want to be prepared, and I want my family prepared. So we had a family meeting yesterday and talked about it. Yep. So if I need any advice from any of you all, I'll certainly reach out and let you know how it's going. But in the meantime, we still got a credit union to build, because once I sell this building, I'm gonna have to have somewhere to park this money, and hopefully it'll be in the Graceline Federal Credit Union. Yeah, that'd be something, man.
Assalamu
Well, alhamdulillah.
I got to go to the masjid. Got a monthly business meeting today, and
Alhamdulillah.
since I'm the treasurer, they tricked me. I told you last time. They tricked me to be the treasurer again. I gotta go.
Well, let's ask Brother Adam.
So Adam, before
Yeah.
you go,
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask if Sister Fitra had reached out to you
She did.
about
Yes.
150. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, she told me she was going to do that too.
Yeah, I sent a headshot photo. It took me like
Okay.
I wanted to change the one I normally use, considering it was done about 15 years ago. So I went a couple of places to get that done, and one brother did. I said, "Man, that's terrible." So I got one. I sent it to her, and along with some information to go in that newsletter about what we're going to discuss.
Right.
Now I'm working on a PowerPoint. I said, "Who I know that does PowerPoints?" And I was going to reach out to you, Taalib, but I ain't gonna bug you.
No, that's I'd have to reach out to my wife.
But I found somebody who's going to help me with the PowerPoints, inshallah.
Now, interestingly enough, just to let you notice, 2 things while I'm thinking about it. One, the sister that was just on, she didn't have a PowerPoint. She just talked straight through.
I know.
All right. The other thing I wanted to remind us as well is in at least 2 conversations with at least the last 4 that I've had with Sister Fitra, in 2 of those conversations, she has told me she's looking for a way to bring Graceline on to study Al-Islam as well.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, so
That's good.
Yeah, she's doing that.
Yeah,
So-
well, I found somebody to do that's going to assist me with the PowerPoint, inshallah.
So,
And I'm going back to my early beginnings, because that's what formed me in this desire to support education where I'm doing.
mhm.
And in Winston, we had a Muhammad University, which came to a Claire Muhammad School, And when I first came into the community, I was just a young brother. I was about 20 or 21, as a matter of fact.
Mm.
And they told me, as they were putting papers in my hand, I had to sell them. And I was not naive enough to go out and sell them. And I was selling the bundle.
Right.
And then when we go to FOI class, and they had the names of people that were selling papers on the board, I didn't see my name on there. I said, well, maybe I ain't been around long enough. Then I found out I was selling new tennis papers. He was getting credit for it. So I said, no, y'all got to put my name up there, right?
Mm.
And then he was a college student at North Carolina A&T. And Farrakhan came to town. He came to Winston-Salem because Farrakhan attended Winston-Salem State for a year or two.
Mm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he attended. So he came back to speak, and here I am. I'm on post. And we were in his room, and he was looking around and said, "Yeah, this is a great, fine university. You brothers need to go to school here." And I'm, spook as I was, I said, "This is a sign for me from Allah." 2 months later, I was enrolled into school. I went back to college, right? Well, the brother lieutenant didn't show up how can you have a national figure come to town? You ain't showing up.
Mm.
So the minister busted him and made me the lieutenant. And we used to, I'm saying that we used to go out and sell papers. We sell bean pies and carrot cakes and cookies and whatever for the school.
Right.
Right. And we end up that was in 72, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. We sent graduates from our school to universities. One went to A&T, one went to Bennett College, one went to North Carolina State, one went to UNC Chapel Hill from our school. And people were saying, well, are y'all accredited? We were crazy back then. Accredited by who? Never going to accredit it. What's your problem?
Right.
But when our students got accepted at the colleges, that was accreditation enough for us.
Right.
You follow?
Right.
So the focus was that we have to pay the teachers a living wage.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we did that was selling. I take a cut up carrot cake on the football dome in Winston-Salem State about 8 o'clock at night and sell out.
Mm-hmm.
Them boys were hungry, But that's how we raised money. And that's what I was used to.
Right.
And that was my background to say, hey, we need to support education. We need to, and I came up with the idea for 150.
Mm-hmm.
$450,000 later, I can talk about it. Because that's how much money we raised for the schools over the last 10 years or so. Right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what I'm going to talk about. So my PowerPoint is going to kind of mirror that as I make that presentation. I appreciate y'all allowing me to practice on y'all.
That's all right. Yeah, because it was inspirational. So
yes, alhamdulillah.
It's excellent.
All right, brother.
On Sister Khalida, you still around? Are you within the sound of our voice? She might have stepped away. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anyway, I'm gonna get ready to go. Get out of here and give this presentation at the masjid, inshallah.
Inshallah.
All right, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Y'all take care.
You too, brother.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. All right. And then
So
there,
Imam Taalib-Din absolutely had no positive responses from any of the credit unions I reached out to this past week. It was about between 12 and 15. Three of them did ask me to put something in writing and
mhm,
send it in to their executive committee or board.
right,
But the rest of them, nothing, no positive response.
right. I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the things, one of the things that I thought I would use as an intro, and I'm going to admit a lot of what I'm doing with this is going to be practice. Is going to be practice because I've never done it before. Um, but one of the things I'm going to be doing next week is composing a simple letter um, as an introduction and an expression of at least the opportunity to meet. And I plan to do it with those credit unions that have active websites where they offer a contact us page. And, just reach out to them. Now, once I have like a skeleton of this letter, I want to run it through us for additions, deletions, and keeping in mind, I want this to be a simplistic introduction. In other words, I don't want to give them too much information, and I want to compose the letter so that it solicits a response. Even if you write back and say, well, thank you for your interest, but we have no interest in this at all. Because that's the only way at this point that I know to start some dialogue. So look for something from me, inshallah, in the coming days, just as I don't know, just a skeleton of something that just some of my thoughts that I'm gonna put down on paper to address those credit unions that we can reach out to. And I have uh, I have some things in mind. I don't have it in front of me. I was looking at it last night, but I do have a couple of things that I Googled that's going to kind of guide me through the process. So I'm going to but in other words, I Googled things about a credit union, like how to buy one and uh, or how to acquire one, as we like to say. And I'm going to use some of the language that I gathered from that to help me compose this letter. And if any of you have any ideas, please don't hesitate to pass them on. Yeah.
We look forward to seeing that. I was going to ask Imam Tariq if you're still with us. I want to ask you a question about Imam Ali, Shad Ali, and see if you have spoken with him or had any correspondence with him in the last few months.
Concerning Graceline, no.
Graceline,
Uh,
or even that credit union that they were taking over in northern Mississippi.
right. I've been in his company, and that was at that was at their recent retreat, Memorial Day weekend, but no conversation or anything was said concerning Graceline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Because I haven't checked, and I probably will, just out of curiosity of that particular credit union, if they've completed, taking over management of it, what state that credit union is in. Because as I go through that list, I run across several inactive credit unions. And a couple of the inactives that I ran across, I mean, they still have their website up, but it's very clear that they're inactive credit union, and it may have $2 or $3 million in assets at the time they went inactive. Of course, obviously the NCUA has all that covered, insurance and blah blah blah, all of that stuff. So I mean, that not a big concern. Nobody's losing, but inactive. And I have not reached out yet to NCUA to get a clearer definition of what inactive means. Are you about to shut them down totally? Do they need an input of ideas, input of capital, so on and so forth? I mean, what's the actual state of that particular institution? So I don't know exactly in their vernacular what inactive means, other than they're probably not taking any new shareholders, depositors at all, I would imagine. So yeah, I'm just kind of interested to see what went on with that particular case, because it sounded like they were in a really good position to start managing that credit union back when we talked to them initially. And then, the whole thing's went dark since then. The only other thing.
Let me ask this question about that.
Okay.
At least 2 to 3 times in maybe the last 3 to 4 meetings, or maybe in the last 3 to 4 months, it has been mentioned that under this new administration, the goalpost has been moved from what NCUA is now looking for in terms of membership.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that other stuff has changed too? That
Yeah, I mean, if you go to YouTube and just put in NCUA board meetings, and every other month I try to be a part of, just from a listening standpoint, their NCUA board meetings. So there's always something in flux. From this last board meeting, I think they talked about when you set up a new credit union, or even an existing credit union, who's eligible to be a board member, and how extensive the training of that board member needs to be. And they've relaxed it now. So if you notice everything in the Trump administration, there's a lot less oversight.
Right.
In the Trump administration.
Rigorousness is gone. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Just, raise your hand, take your seat. You're now the chairman.
Right.
type of thing.
Right.
So there's always something in flux. The big thing that I have kind of seen, and some of this is verbal, you hear it in the meetings, but some of it now that I'm starting to go through these lists of credit unions is, man, you don't, once you get the charter, you got to be terrible. I mean, you basically have to be an everyday drunk who
Mhm.
forgets to go and open the doors of the credit union for them to shut you down or place you on inactive status or, give your assets to another credit union to manage or something like that. It just seems like it's a very huge machine that has limited assets to make sure that it's maintained properly. The maintenance seems to have become an issue, and part of that is budget, I'm sure. With this current administration, budget plays a big part in that.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to make the assumption, and I may be 100% wrong, but I'm going to make the assumption that if we, let's just personalize it, we actually were able to get to the numbers that they told us about, the 3,000 or whatever,
Mhm.
and we had some capital. I don't even think we would need $1 million. I think we could probably do it with $250,000 capital. And we had the number of people vetted like we had before,
Mhm.
right? That's already approved by NCUA.
Right.
That they would hold our hands and walk us into taking over some credit union that
Mhm.
was in trouble.
Right.
That's what I think. Now, again, I could be 100% wrong, but I'm just
No,
looking
I
at,
don't think you're wrong. I think part of it too is, um, and this is kind of the Mike Tyson philosophy on boxing. Every boxer goes into the ring with a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and
yeah.
and then the plan changes. I see I see the starting of a credit union much like that. Um, you know, everybody's, the founders are enthusiastic. They bring in this membership, this enthusiasm is running high, but that first month goes by, some holidays pop up, you know, people lose that enthusiasm, and it needs to be infused with new blood. Imam Tariq, I see your hand up.
Yes, sir. I would just want to also make mention, and I was kind of hesitant about making a mention of this, but it something occurred. A statement was made in our host AM 360 host meeting yesterday concerning uh, this potential credit union, and I know that person mentality. The way he say things is like an attack when he say things, because me and him go way back.
Hmm.
I guess so, as friends.
Right.
So I was going to leave it alone, and I didn't say anything to him during the host meeting,
Hmm.
and so I said, no, just let me give him a call. And I gave him a call later on. And I said, bro, again, you made an attack on an effort that you don't have no knowledge of, and everything. And I say, what do you know of it? Of course, he said nothing. I said, well, look, my little understanding is that there are requirements. We need a minimum of 3,000 people for membership. And I say, I think we got half of that. You don't have to have any money. All you need to do is to go to the website, you give your name, number, and an email address, and you automatically a member.
Mhm.
He couldn't say anything else because he knew he didn't have a comeback, because that just, again, who he is. He
Mhm.
he liked to attack good efforts. Okay, for
Right.
some
Right.
reason I don't know why
Right.
he's like that, but again, we go way back, and so I'm glad I did that. I hope he
Mhm.
follow up and become that member. I said we need 1,500 more people.
Right. Right.
So I think if we might need to look at how can we create a a recruiting effort to make people more aware of what it entails for this credit union to come online, because I think a lot of them are probably thinking we need some money
Mhm. Right.
up front,
Right.
and yeah, and everything.
Right. And that was almost a mirror image of what I faced when I went to address um, the resident imam of Masjid Muhammad. He put me with the person on the masjid's board that he considers to be the business liaison. Um, but when he told me who it was, I already knew that it was going to be an issue, and it proved to be an issue. But it was an issue that the imam was made aware of, and he was made aware of it not by me. So I don't know, um, uh, I don't know who may have told him, assuming that it was, the person he appointed to do it. Um, our relationship, um, while I maintain respect for him as a brother Muslim, outside of the masjid in his personal affairs, we have always been adversarial, and I have always been, and still to this day, have been accusatory of what he did. He refused to do for me, knowing the work that I had been doing, and he allowing himself to be influenced by the government in which he worked for, the district government.
Mm.
And but now it has come back again. I don't know where he is in the process, and quite frankly, um, I'm the one that stepped to him in the early part of the year, and then again in uh, and again maybe 3 to 4 months later. I think I addressed something to him about, yeah, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. So it was the early part of the year, and then maybe again in March, um, where I've put him back on the hot seat, because he's still in the same position with the government that he was. He knows the work that I've been doing. I've called him out on it. In fact, I was just standing around talking to some other people about what we were about to do, and by Allah's grace, it's been done. Um, we have, I convinced my city council representative, which is where our laws here in the District of Columbia start. We're not a state, so there is no state house. But I convinced my city council representative to introduce a bill, excuse me, which she did April of 2026, that would exempt hair braiders from the cosmetology licensing in DC. I started working on it a couple of years ago earnestly, speaking to her, speaking to the mayor's office about doing this, particularly on the heels of other states having done the same thing. I think it's either 34 or 37 in total, which at least 24 of those I had something to do with. I mean, personally involved in. And so now that this has come up, this is going to come back again on him. And I'm real curious, as he is now the executive director for the Barber and Cosmetology Board. I want to see whether or not he's going to put his government first or Alice Long, because he knows what I'm about. And if he can't do that, I'm not going to call him out on it, because it's going to be clear to everybody that knows about this, because I'm going to be building a case in the community to support us. When I followed the imam's instructions and brought the idea of Graceline to him, before I could even finish my pitch, he wanted to remind me of a credit union that Masjid Muhammad tried to start years ago, which no one I spoke to remembers. So I believe what happened, I don't think he was lying or anything of that nature. I believe what happened was, whatever credit union they tried to start, they weren't doing it properly, and was getting money from people supposedly to start this credit union, and it went nowhere.
Right, ma'am. May I interject?
Yeah.
I think, since you mentioned that, because it's been on my mind since we're on this, right, where we are, the reason why our people, in quote unquote, in our community, have yet to give support to it, because of what you just said about the money.
Right.
And they thinking that I'm going to give my money, then those blank and blank ain't going to do nothing right.
That's right.
You know? So,
That's right.
Because I do know
Yeah.
some of the mind of certain people, because like I said, at least that brother that I just mentioned, I don't think it was the money. I think it was again, me knowing him, that's who he is. When people put forth something and
Yes.
it don't manifest,
Right.
he found a way of attacking it.
Yes.
And everything, because I've had to make call. Well, had to call him on something he attacked concerning the IWDM 50 that took place last year and everything, and he did it in a public. Well, he did it on his show on AM 360. That was not the place for that.
Right.
And so until you ask questions, then you shouldn't say too much, because I think, Edward, you approached me years ago and I said no, because I was looking at myself, because I don't have no experience in this area. And then it came back around again, and here I am. But
Alhamdulillah.
but yeah, but because again, I was looking at myself. I don't have no experience in money and financing and everything.
Right.
But I know I'm repeating what I said earlier.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna go back to AM 360. I think we are revising, are going to set up a situation where we can promote businesses on there. I'm gonna get more clarity on that because see, when I first started, I had did like a month or more worth of shows. No one ever told me that we're not supposed to support business, promote businesses on there.
Right.
Because before my presentation, I had created some slides promoting for-profit and non-profit business.
Mhm.
Did the I think the for-profit business first, and at the conclusion of my presentation, I was doing them live. No one
Mhm.
said anything to me. So when we had the host meeting, it was brought up. I said, "Well, you all should have told me this. I would have yielded right away without a fight. I don't
Mhm.
try to ruffle feathers. I follow
Right.
policy and procedure.
Right.
Why let me do something this long and not say anything?"
Right. Right.
So if that come to be, then I still have the grace line on the slide and everything. It
Mhm.
is good, to get that promotion. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but except again, I
Right.
think we still got those people out there
They
that
are.
I'm not giving these niggas my money. I wouldn't want to say that at first, but
Right.
whatever.
Mhm.
And
No, you're
they,
right,
So,
man.
yeah,
You absolutely right. And Allah talks about them in throughout Quran. These are types of people. So the first one that comes to mind for me is the Semite um, who talk negatively about Musa when he went to the mountain.
yeah,
Okay, he's a type. I mean,
mm,
look at what Moses ain't done nothing for you. Where's his God now?
yeah.
That
And
they're types. You
and let
know,
me add one more, if I may. We had this Caucasian brother who, well, he took the Shahada time, but I was suspect. But anyway, I leave that one where it's at. So he was coming, made mention to me about the suits that I have available,
mm-hmm,
and he said, my father-in-law, I mentioned it to him, and we was talking about opening up. Could we open up a store in Ocean Springs, right across the bridge here where that tragedy took place, that young man being drowned.
right.
Damn, what was his name? Well, anyway, I forget it. Oliver. I said, Oliver, um, if we do that, you got to be the face of the business. And I say, now I'm gonna be in there all the time for the most part. I say Ocean Springs is probably 99% Caucasian. Most of the
Mm-hmm,
business downtown too. I said,
mm-hmm,
you got to be the face of the business. And he said, I say, bruh, look at you, you pretty white boy, slender. And I say, so we got to use a strategy.
mm-hmm,
And as long as they don't disrespect me, it's fine with me.
mm-hmm,
And because I think there was a situation they did a movie where this bank was being opened. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, did you all remember a movie like that? And that really happened. And the man reached out to a Caucasian person so they can get the bank started.
right.
Mm.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Did Jamie Foxx play in that movie? No, he did the one about the attorney. That was about the attorney
Right.
Mhm.
and
But
everything.
I know that it's called the bankers or something
Yeah,
along those lines.
I think it was, but because I
Yeah.
know our people again, they say, "Oh, there's a white man there," so I'm gonna go for it now. I mean, I'm
Right.
saying I don't think we should do that, but I
No,
don't
you
know. But
have
anyway,
you know the funny thing is you
man,
have to. I tell people that all the time. You're gonna open a retail shop, you're selling clothes or you're selling shoes or something like that. Get you a really attractive, well-spoken young white woman to greet people at the door and to ask them what brought them in today.
Mhm.
oh,
You'll
well,
you'll
look, let me
you'll sell
I,
more stuff. You'll
yeah,
sell more stuff.
look. when we had access, a former friend of mine, well, not no former friend, a colleague, mentor, teacher, Muslim brother, good friend of mine, when we had to connect in China, we had connected with the hair too. I say, man, I said, if I'd have thought about it, knew what I know now, I'd have married me an Asian, tried to get me an Asian woman for a wife or somebody. And that
Yes,
shit
sir.
like that, man. Oh, yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. But anyway, but yeah, we still got
We got some
some of our
learning to
people.
do. So
Yeah.
let me comment on something that you said about about AM 360 and your advertising and mentioning businesses. So Graceline Community is a nonprofit, registered 501c3 nonprofit organization within our community. The Muslim Journal is a for-profit
Mm-hmm.
organization within our community, and nobody will open their mouth to say you can't mention Muslim Journal.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
So they're two-faced.
Mhm.
Anybody that says that is two-faced.
Ooh, man, that just dawned on me. That's so
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
But now, I do know last Saturday, not yesterday, they did when they started talking about it at the end of the show, my presentation. They said, well, yeah, if you want to talk about your business now, you can do it now. And I think it has something to do with us being on YouTube, but I think we're going to get more clarity on that. But I never thought about it. The Muslim Journal is a for-profit business. And
That's right.
I was promoting them on one of my slides too, because like I said, I had all the for-profits on a different slide and all nonprofits on a different slide.
Mhm.
And even doing that, I had AM 360 on the nonprofit slide too in the CWSC, still promoting everybody that I can promote
Right.
and everything. But still, I don't know what else to say. I know you two guys got the better experience than I in this area. That's the reason I don't say too much. I'll be listening because I'm trying to learn. Uh,
Well,
but
and I think you already know this, but we we as a people, and it didn't change because we became Muslim.
mhm, sure did.
We suffer from trust issues,
Yeah.
and it shows itself and we used to call it back in the 50s and 60s. We used to call it the crab in the barrel mentality.
Hmm.
And I don't think that dynamic has changed much. In fact, I would tell you it may have even gotten worse. Where either directly or indirectly we tear we tear each other down. Directly, it'll be done like those types of people that you spoke of with that brother that you've had to address,
Hmm.
and that others of us have had to address from time to time as well. That's direct. But indirectly, they don't support it. Your your non-participation, your non-attendance, your lack of enthusiasm, that is showing me that is showing me what you think about this. And it's becoming more and more apparent to many members of many communities that are slowly withdrawing their full support for masjids in our community. Um, I have I've seen it. I'm starting to hear more rumblings now. The idea that we keep over and over again holding these fundraisers to build a masjid, to improve the masjid, to expand the masjid. Masjid, masjid, masjid. That's unsustainable. You can't keep going to the same community members having fundraisers to raise money for a masjid, fundraisers to raise money for a program that the masjid is sponsoring. You going back to the same people, and the money is becoming circular, and the people aren't seeing any results of it.
And I want to interject this if I may. I think I heard Imam Muhammad say, well, it was read it in print, that your business should be bigger than your school should be bigger than your masjid.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But we keep building masjids, and we keep building masjids. I mean, right now, Masjid Muhammad is going to end up spending, they claim, between 4 and 5 million. I think it's going to be more, to combine all of these properties and all of this land, and nowhere in the plans is there any sort of business. No place. Not a commercial kitchen, daycare, not a school program or tutoring, nothing. That's connected to the masjid.
If I want to mention, I need to exit at this point right here. I have had 2 calls I need to tend to come in.
Okay, can we just close out?
Just go ahead and close out
real quick.
Okay. Oh, our Lord, bestow good upon us in this life, and bestow good upon us in the life to come, and save us from the torment of the fire. Amen. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. All right, brother.
So, Imam Taalib, in the case of, because we got the same issue going on here in Dallas with one of our masjids, I think I may have mentioned this, raised almost $2.5 million to do a masjid expansion. Building costs continue to go up.
Right.
Now it's a $3 million need.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Don't have a school.
Right.
And
they want to expand.
Right.
But if they're not expanding in order to put some sort of commercial entity, a daycare center.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I believe if you have a food truck, I know if you have a food truck in the Washington, D.C. area, the preparation of that food must be, for you to maintain your license, it must be done in a commercial kitchen.
There you go.
Not in your home. So why
guess what?
A masjid have a commercial kitchen where vendors could come in after
there
Isha
you go.
And stay until Fajr.
Vendors. Yep. Vendors, not vendor, vendors.
Right.
In
Not
other words, multiple people that have food trucks or whatever can use that kitchen.
Now your masjid is not being supported by the believers. You're not coming back to me every week begging for money. You're a beggar.
Exactly. Right.
Okay? You're a beggar.
I agree.
And
100% agree.
The Quran frowns on that.
Yep.
It frowns on the beggar. You should be out there doing something that's going to bring money into the community. And I just gave a khutbah on it yesterday, and they may or may not have liked it. I don't care. But to me, it's like a whore-pimp relationship.
There's a Caucasian Methodist church here in Dallas. That particular church still exists because 6 days a week, their kitchen is used to prepare for at least 8 or 9 different businesses.
Yes.
And they do specialized catering.
Yes.
Out of there. You can go rent that place to do specialized catering for events.
Yes. There you go. That's what works.
Yeah.
It's going to sustain that facility.
Yeah.
And why people
And
can't see that, I don't know.
the synod for the United Methodist Church keeps that church in existence. And whatever parishioners they still have
Hmm.
can still go there and worship where they've been for 10, 20, 30 years,
That's right.
whatever.
That's right.
And no, they're not having to come out of their pocket for put a new roof on, change the air conditioning. They got money coming in
Right. That's
all the
right.
time to keep that going. And they're not having to go beg the, regional synod. Oh, we need our
Right.
plumbing went out. We need some
Right.
money
That's
to
right.
repair this, or whatever. The city came by and said this or whatever. No,
Yep.
they're able to keep it
That
up.
that we have to stop doing.
Yep,
Okay. I mean, we
I
just got to
agree.
stop it, man, because it is a unhealthy relationship with the community.
I agree.
And the young people see it.
Yeah.
That's why they're not staying with us.
They see the practice. They see the what we practice,
Yes.
and they know that what we practice is not sustainable.
Right.
That it's not a growth model.
Right. It's not. It's not. You cannot what and from as far as if we look at the masjid as a business model, this is not something that you can build to scale.
Right.
It's just
No.
not if you're going to keep it as a masjid. I mean, you got we've got to start doing better.
Hmm.
We've really got to start doing better because what we need, and Imam Muhammad talked about this from the very beginning of his leadership. We need a material showing. Okay, we got a masjid. That's fine. We got that. It's out of the way. We can, but what we're not doing is we are not following the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he migrated from Mecca to Medina. The first thing he did was he ordered that a masjid be built. Now, this is not the masjid that we are now familiar with in Medina. This masjid was made of mud, a compacted floor, and palm leaves from the tree was the roof.
Hmm.
The second thing he did was to establish government in Medina, to bring all of that community together, not just the Muslims, the Jews, the Christians, and the pagans.
Right.
Brought them all together and establish rules and regulations and establish businesses, and trade routes and with other surrounding communities. It wasn't the masjid that did that. It was the building up of the community that did that.
Hmm.
Okay, and we keep missing it because we keep following these leaders that all they want to do, unfortunately, they ain't no better than a Christian preacher.
It's the same model. It's the same model as a
Same
Christian
model.
preacher. Yeah.
Right. And the reason that they won't let somebody up like me up in front of the community is because just like a preacher, there's only certain people that person is going to allow to have access to the flock.
Right.
We don't want to stir the natives. Let them keep giving, let them keep giving, and I mean it is unbelievable that we keep falling for the same okie doke. Now, it hasn't stopped me. Let me be clear with you about something. When Allah has blessed me in the financial position that I find myself in, and I don't have a lot of money, but what I do have is a formula that Allah has taught me that when the more that I get, the more I'm responsible for, the more that I give, the more I'm going to get. So, how I feel about these communities has not stopped me from supporting them financially. But my financial support is now becoming limited because while I'm willing to continue to build to give my zakat and give to your and in addition to zakat, give to your building fund. One community, they were selling T-shirts, trying to $25, trying to. I just bought a T-shirt. What am I going to do with another T-shirt? But I was trying to support them, and when I go there, I when I go to that community, I give them $100 every week that I go. $50 of it goes to zakat, $50 goes to the building fund. So why do I do that? I talk about this in a way that is against the status quo, but in order to give me a voice, I pay for it. Okay? I'm not going to talk about these masjids doing what they do. I don't want to be that person that Imam Tariq talked about that goes around, lifting their leg up and peeing on everything you try to do, like a dog. Dog go around and they go smell everything and then they lift their leg and they pee on it. And then they leave. I don't conduct myself that way. You trying to raise money, I'm going to give you money. Because that way, that investment that I've now made in you gives me a voice. And my voice says this: you got to stop raising money the way you're doing and try other methodologies other than keep asking me for money. Because you ain't going to be able to sustain it that way. You're not doing anything. And Masjid Muhammad in particular is in trouble. And I know they're in trouble, but they're not saying it. But I can tell. I know construction. And I know all the things you had to do, and I know all the permitting processes, that you claim has slowed you down, and this happened and that happened. All you giving me is excuses. But when I drive by that building, and it's a building right now, when I drive by it and I look either to my right or my left, and I never see anybody in there working. And I know you still outside. You're not ready to go inside yet. But yet you telling the community you hope to be in there in some capacity by the end of this year? You lying. And as a Muslim, in accordance, in fact, I'm gonna when and if Allah allows me to speak on this, I'm gonna quote the surah and ayah where I'm allowed to speak this way, to tell the truth, even if it's against myself. That in the face of danger, Allah allows for arrogance and egotism when it's dangerous. And he also allows for you to raise your voice when you've been wronged. And I can see, I feel like as a community, we have been wronged. We are following leadership for the sake of saying we have a leader. But that leader is not taking you to places you need to go. These leaders, and it's not just Masjid Muhammad. It's not just Masjid Muhammad. I mean, as long as this community has been in existence since the days of the Nation of Islam, and then 1975, we still don't have any land to bury our own. we still don't have a way to be able to wash bodies and prepare them for janazah. We don't have a school. We don't have any business entity that's connected to the masjid. But you want to beg money from me to support the Boy Scouts, to support your feeding program. And those are good things. I'm not knocking that. And you constantly begging money to do the Eid, and we don't have but 2 Eids. It's a good thing we're not like Christians and celebrating what are they, like 12, 13, 14 holidays in this country? Something's got to stop, man. We on this hamster wheel. And it's been this way. I've been in the community since 1979. And it's been this way ever since I've been in the community. It's always been like this. And at some point, it's got to stop. And if we'll just see. But I can tell you, I'm not the only person that's frustrated in this
Now
process.
there's lots of frustration around.
Yep.
And in a lot of different areas. I think the one that obviously gets played up the most is the schools.
Yes.
But I think people lose their focus and not actually thinking about revenue generating activities.
They're not.
Because, when people come out and say, I can't remember who said it this morning. I think it was Adam that said, the whole thing that he went through when he was at Winston-Salem State.
Mm-hmm.
And the masjid there is that you need to be able to pay your teachers a living wage.
Right.
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 And that's just basic. You have to you have to be able to do that. And the way that you do that, the state and the nation do it through taxation. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they funnel that money back. A certain amount goes into education. Teachers get a certain wage and all that type of thing. Well, we have zakat, but we don't pay zakat.
No.
We talk about zakat.
Right.
We don't pay it.
Right.
In fact, we don't even know what it is half the time. A lot of people still think it's income based.
Right.
It's not.
Right. That's right.
Based on net worth. But anyway, beside the point. So
based on your net worth, which can change.
Exactly. Right. Which can change. Right. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we got to get straight. But one thing that we can do, and what we've talked about here, one thing that every masjid of any size in our major cities can do, especially, is can create income generating opportunities for itself.
Yes. Yep.
It would not, most masjids in the larger cities,
mm-hmm.
in the next 6 months could facilitate a perpetual income generating opportunity for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Different levels to it based on willingness of people in the community to involve themselves in it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough. But every one of them, from Newark to Philly to DC to Atlanta, which Atlanta already does a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando, Miami, I could go on. Dallas, Houston, LA, Chicago. They can all be doing it at a much greater scale. Even if they're doing some of it, they could be doing it at a much greater scale
mm-hmm.
than what they're doing.
Right.
And if you simply take 65% of every dollar that you make and invest it in something like starting a school,
mm-hmm.
and put the rest aside for maintaining and improving the
mm-hmm.
facility. I'm not going to say masjid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say improving the facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And planning for the future. Because if you got large plots of land that you don't have anything on,
Mm-hmm.
aging community, why not a senior citizen center place with 12 units, 12 to 18 units,
Mm-hmm.
where you know you're going to get government money to help you
Right.
maintain
Right.
that, right? You're going to get
Might even be able to get government money to build it.
exactly
Mm-hmm.
right.
Right.
And that's gonna as long as you maintain it, that's perpetual income.
Right. That's right.
As long as there's human beings, that's perpetual income,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you can have a small cemetery or whatever size
Right.
cemetery that you want
That's right.
near that particular facility.
That's right.
And because you have health care
Mm-hmm.
that's aligned with that particular facility, I promise you,
Mm-hmm.
you can have added in there room to prepare bodies
Yes.
for
Yes.
burial.
And when you talk about these income generating opportunities for these masjids, you're speaking of not just something that's going to generate money after Juma or after Talim, but 7 days a week.
24/7,
That's right.
365.
There's no
And
reason.
guess what? That that kitchen, that commercial kitchen that you
Right.
have assigned with the masjid,
Yep.
guess where the meals for the senior citizen centers come from?
Yes.
And you get paid for that
Yes.
as a separate entity, as a vendor
Yep.
to the
Yep.
senior citizen center.
That's right.
That the government may subsidize those
Mhm.
meals.
Right. Right. And could you imagine that there may even be other faith-based groups that want to
Yes.
use your commercial kitchen so that they can feed their parishioners?
There you go. Exactly.
I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities, man, but we're not taking advantage of them.
No.
So
Not where we have the opportunity to do it. Not
right,
everybody has that same opportunity, but
right,
places that we have the opportunity to do that,
right.
we should be doing it.
That's right. That's right. Listen, it's time for me to make dua.
All right, brother.
It's been a pleasure, and inshallah, I will try to get some kind of skeleton letter out to us
Okay.
later in the week, and inshallah, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Assalamu
Wa
alaikum, my brother.
alaikum salam.